One man approached multiple machine gun nests, single-handedly killed dozens of enemy soldiers, and captured over 100 of them. This is the story of Alvin York, a humble farm boy who would become one of America's greatest heroes. From the tranquil hills of his home in Tennessee to the blood-soaked battlefields of Europe, his journey would inspire a nation, and continues to do so to this day. In this video, we will cover the story of what happened on that famous day in France. Let's get into it. Alvin York was born on December 13, 1887 in a remote and impoverished area of Pall Mall, Tennessee. He was the third of 11 children born to William and Mary York, who struggled to make ends meet as farmers. Life in this isolated region was challenging, marked by poverty, limited education, and hard work. Growing up in the hills of Tennessee, York learned the value of self-reliance and perseverance from an early age. He spent much of his youth helping his family on their small farm, tending to crops, raising livestock, and hunting in the surrounding woods to supplement their meager income. Despite the hardships, York's upbringing instilled a deep sense of community, faith, and resilience. As a young man, Alvin York underwent a profound religious conversion that profoundly influenced his beliefs and values. Raised in a devout Christian household, he became a member of the Church of Christ in Christian Union, a denomination that espoused pacifist principles and opposed participation in war. York's religious convictions initially conflicted with the idea of military service, particularly when the United States entered in World War I in 1917. Despite his reservations about war and violence, York faced increasing pressure from his community and his peers to enlist in the military and support the war effort. After a great deal of soul-searching and contemplation, Alvin ultimately made the decision to enlist in the United States Army in June 1917. His decision was motivated by a sense of duty to his country, a desire to defend the principles of freedom and democracy, and a belief that his actions could make a difference in the war. He underwent basic training in Camp Gordon in Georgia, where he demonstrated exceptional marksmanship and leadership skills. Despite his limited formal education, he proved to be a very quick learner and a disciplined soldier. His rural upbringing had instilled in him a proficiency with firearms, honed through years of hunting and living off the land. Then in the fall of 1917, Alvin York was assigned to the 82nd Division, also known as the All-American Division, which was composed primarily of draftees from various states across the US. After completing his training, York and his unit were deployed to the Western Front in France, where they joined the Allied forces in their fight against the Central Powers. York's experiences in training and on the front lines would shape his character and prepare him for the extraordinary challenges he would face in the crucible of combat. Little did he know that his actions during the Meuse Argonne offensive would soon catapult him to national and international fame as one of the most celebrated heroes of the First World War. Alvin York's early life and entry into the military reflect his resilience, determination, and sense of duty that would define his remarkable journey from the hills of Tennessee to the battlefields of Europe. And as fate would have it, it was joining the military that would not only lead to his eventual fame, but also to him saving countless lives. Let's get into some of the details of that now famous moment. The Battle of the Argon Forest, part of the larger Meuse Argonne offensive, was one of the largest and most critical battles of World War I, lasting from September 26th to November the 11th, 1918. It was a pivotal campaign on the Western Front, as Allied forces sought to break through the formidable German defense lines and advance toward the heart of Germany. So what's the situation? Well, on October 8, 1918, Sergeant Alvin York and his unit, Company G, 328th Infantry Regiment of the 82nd Division, found themselves in the midst of the dense and treacherous terrain of the Argon Forest, in northeastern France. The forest was heavily fortified by German troops, who were dug in with machine guns and artillery, creating a formidable defensive position. So what was the mission? Well, York's unit was part of a larger offensive aimed at capturing a German position near a railroad, a crucial objective in the Allied advance. As they advanced through the dense undergrowth, they came under intense machine gun fire from well-concealed German positions on high ground. And during the chaos of battle, most of York's superior officers were either killed or incapacitated, leaving him in command of a small group of soldiers. Despite his initial reluctance to take on a leadership role due to his humble background and lack of formal education, he rose to the occasion with courage and determination. As the battle raged on, York realized that the key to breaking the German defenses lay in neutralizing a series of well-entrenched machine gun nests that were inflicting heavy casualties on his unit. He later had this to say about the situation. "The Germans got us. They got us right smart. They just stopped us dead in our tracks. Their machine guns were up there on the heights overlooking us and well hidden, and we couldn't tell for certain where the terribly heavy fire was coming from. And I'm telling you, they were shooting straight. Our boys just went down like the long grass before the mowing machine at home. Our attack just faded out, and there we were, lying down about halfway across the valley, and those German machine guns and big shells getting us hard. With remarkable bravery and strategic acumen, York decided to take matters into his own hands. With a small group of soldiers, he began a daring flanking maneuver, moving stealthily through the thick underbrush to outflank the German positions. Despite coming under fire from multiple directions, York pressed forward with unwavering resolve, leading his men with calm and confidence. You never heard such a racket in all your life. I didn't have time to dodge behind a tree or dive into the bush. As soon as machine guns opened fire on me, I began to exchange shots with them. There were over 30 of them in continuous action, and all I could do was touch the Germans off as fast as I could. I was sharp shooting. All the time I kept yelling at them to come down. I didn't want to kill any more than I had to. But it was they or I, and I was giving them the best I had. So as they approached one of the most heavily fortified machine gun nests, York realized that a direct assault would be suicidal. Instead, he devised a bold plan to take the enemy by surprise. With precise marksmanship and calculated tactics, York single-handedly charged the machine gun nest, firing his rifle and pistol with deadly accuracy. In a whirlwind of action, York managed to eliminate several enemy soldiers and capture the remaining German defenders, all while under heavy fire. His fearless assault silenced the machine guns that had been pinning down his unit, allowing the American advance to continue. His actions during the Battle of Argon Forest were nothing short of extraordinary. His daring leadership and unparalleled marksmanship turned the tide of the battle, enabling his unit to achieve its objective and contributing to the overall success of the Meuse-Argonne offensive. Upon returning to his unit, York reported to his brigade commander, Brigadier General Julian Robert Lindsay, who remarked, "Well, York, I hear you have captured the whole German army." To which York replied, "No, sir, I only got 132. After the conclusion of World War I and his heroic actions in the Battle of the Argon Forest, Sergeant Alvin York returned to the United States as a national hero. His homecoming was marked by celebrations and accolades, as his extraordinary bravery and leadership captured the imagination of the American public. Upon his return to a small rural community in Tennessee, York was greeted with a hero's welcome. The residents of his hometown, as well as people from across the country, turned out to honor him for his valorous deeds on the battlefield. Parades, ceremonies, and banquets were held in his honor, with local dignitaries and government officials paying tribute to his courage and sacrifice. In recognition of his exceptional bravery during the battle, he was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration awarded by the United States government. The medal was presented to him in a solemn ceremony attended by military leaders, politicians, and members of the public. York's humble demeanor and reluctance to seek attention only served to enhance his reputation as a true American hero. His story captured the imagination of the American public and garnered widespread media attention. Newspapers across the country published articles recounting his exploits on the battlefield, and he became a symbol of courage, patriotism, and selflessness. His image was all over posters, magazine covers, and propaganda materials, inspiring pride and morale among the American people during a time of war and uncertainty. Despite this newfound fame, Alvin York remained humble and grounded, using his platform to advocate for causes close to his heart. He embarked on a nationwide speaking tour, sharing his experiences and promoting patriotism, education, and community service. His speeches resonated with audiences, who were moved by his sincerity, his humility, and his devotion to duty. His legacy extends far beyond his heroic actions on the battlefield. He became a symbol of American courage and resilience, embodying the values of bravery, sacrifice, and service to others. His story has been immortalized in books and films, ensuring that future generations remember his extraordinary deeds and the sacrifices of all who served in World War I. Despite his fame and recognition, he remained true to his roots, returning to his family farm in Tennessee after the war. He married his sweetheart, Gracie Williams, and together they raised a family and lived a quiet life away from the spotlight. He continued to be involved in his community, advocating for education, veterans' rights, and economic development in rural areas. Alvin York's homecoming and the fame that followed were a testament to his remarkable courage. He will always be remembered as a true American hero, whose actions exemplified the highest ideals of bravery and selflessness. His later years, however, were marked by declining health, as he battled various ailments associated with age. On September 2nd, 1964, York passed away peacefully in his home in Tennessee, surrounded by his loved ones. His death was mourned by people across the country, who remembered him not only as a war hero, but as a devoted husband, father, and community leader. His extraordinary story was brought to life on the silver screen in several film adaptations, most notably in the 1941 biographical film Sergeant York, directed by Howard Hawks and starring Gary Cooper in the title role. This film was a critical and commercial success, earning numerous awards and accolades, including Academy Award for Best Actor and Best Film Editing. Sergeant York portrays York's life from his humble beginnings in Tennessee to his heroic actions on the battlefield of World War I. It captures the essence of York's character, depicting his struggles, triumphs, and unwavering faith. The success of this movie ensured that Alvin York's story reached a wider audience and solidified his place in American pop culture. The film remains a classic and a powerful tribute to one of the greatest heroes of World War I. In addition to this, Alvin York's life and legacy have been explored in documentaries, books, and other media, ensuring his remarkable story continues to inspire and resonate audiences around the world. The capture of the machine gun nest in the Argon Forest remains one of the most iconic moments in military history, a testament to the spirit and courage of Sergeant Alvin York and the men who fought alongside him. That's it for the story of this iconic military hero. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you've seen here today, please consider subscribing for more historical tales. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time on History Unlocked.